Hello, hello, hello. This is Kenny Perkins, aka your cancer guy. And listen, as I always say, we have another phenomenal guest on the show, and I don't think it's going to fall short of anything but amazing. The reason we do this, as you know, is we want to empower cancer patients through these insightful conversations, right? To reinforce confidence and certainty about your cancer condition. And that's our aim, that's our strive, that's our mission. And so when we bring someone to the show, we look forward to them dropping the gems that you can benefit from, that you can walk away and say, you know what, I never thought about that. I can utilize that. And so I'm excited. I'm excited to bring this next guest. And as we do this, just know as a cancer coach, you're not alone. Sometimes you feel that way, but I want to let you know we are here to help anyone that's going through this. In fact, we're trying to reach out to the first 100 people who come in as a cancer coach in our organization so that we can help you. We're going to focus our attention on you. We're going to make sure we get you through the process. We have programs that we can utilize for you that you can go through this journey feeling somewhat confident. And that's our whole goal. So I want to make sure you guys see the link, make sure you click that link and get it going. But before we go into all of that, listen, we have this next guest coming to you all the way from Cleveland, Ohio. Listen, she's saying right now it's 25 degrees, but she still has a smile on her face. I love that about her. Listen, let's bring together our next guest, Leah Adams. Let's go. Hey, Leah.
Hey, Kenny.
How are you?
I'm doing well. How about yourself?
We're doing okay today. I just, life is up and down, but it's up now because I have you on the show, you know?
That's wonderful. I'm glad to hear that.
Yes, yes. Leah, for those who don't know you, can you give us a little bit about your background and who you are, what you do?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm Leah Adams. I am from Cleveland, Ohio, as Kenny mentioned, and I am 31 years old. I'm a melanoma survivor. I am a runner. I work in the nonprofit field at the National Kidney Foundation. I've been there for it'll be 6 years in March this year. And I am engaged to my fiance of it'll be 8 years this year, which is exciting. We're getting married in June. I'm an only child to my mom and dad, and I'm also a daughter of a stage 4 cancer fighter, my father, who also has metastatic melanoma. That's a little bit about me and who I am.
Listen, listen, I mean, that introduction, that's quite a bit there. And you know what I love about you? 31. So you were diagnosed young then, huh?
Yes, I was diagnosed at 26, stage 1A melanoma.
Yes. You know, and to be a runner, I mean, you were someone who was athletic. You were out there just, staying active, taking care of yourself. Was this a big shock to you when this happened?
Oh, yeah. I mean, running is something I've done almost every day for 11 years. And at the time, I was at my kind of halfway point of that time, so around 5 or 6. And when I had melanoma and realized I wasn't going to be able to run for a while after my surgeries I had, it was really devastating, to have something like that that was so part of your daily routine be taken from you. Running wasn't and still isn't, just for physical, like keeping in shape. It's, something that I enjoy for my mental health, for my emotional health. And it's just my me time, it's my therapy time. And so when that was taken away from me, it was really devastating. But I worked through that, through healing, and I'm here to say, post melanoma, I've run 2 marathons, one marathon, and a handful of 5Ks since my melanoma because I didn't let cancer stop me.
I love that. And I need to pause you here because, I mean, that's a lot. You know, listening to how you were active, right? Going through it, always on it, running and taking care of yourself. You having to pause running. What was going on? Talk to us a little bit about what happened and maybe the treatments that were taking place.
Yeah. So basically, what I needed for my stage 1A melanoma is I needed two surgeries that happened in the same day. My melanoma was on my chest, and they wanted to remove that as soon as possible. And with skin cancer or melanoma, unfortunately, a lot of times they have to remove more skin than sometimes you think that they will remove because melanoma is sneaky and it can spread pretty fast. And it's the deadliest type of skin cancer. So, just from one tiny little mole that didn't look right, they removed like a huge chunk of skin from my chest. And that required a lot of stitches. And then, because I was bordering stages of stage 1A and 1B of melanoma, they wanted to do an additional procedure under my right arm to see if my cancer spread to my lymph nodes or local organs. So, with all of that healing, I wasn't able to run for a little over a month. And it was hard. I mean, I was going through a lot of emotions. I was feeling sad. I was mad. I was confused. I was feeling helpless. And, for me, Kenny, I didn't take care of my skin and I didn't take care of my body before having melanoma. I wouldn't wear sunscreen. I'd lay out in the sun. I would use tanning beds. And one of the feelings I was having after my surgeries, while I was not being able to do much, is I kept thinking to myself, I gave myself cancer. I did this to myself. And I was also kind of in this pity party that obviously was not healthy. So it was a lot of emotions, after cancer.
Yeah. I mean, I can only imagine what that feels like, and I thank you so much for expressing that because, for those listening, that feeling and those thoughts that go through your head and thinking about, man, I did this to myself, it's self destructive. It can be right. The
Mhm.
things we say to ourselves matter, and when you realize you can't go back and fix the past, it's about what we're doing ahead, and that's a lot of work, right? I mean, what talk to us a little bit about how you had to tackle maybe your mindset.
Yeah. Your mind is a very powerful thing. And what's interesting is I kind of do an analogy with that in running. A lot of people will say I'm crazy for how much I run. What a lot of people don't know, if you are an endurance athlete or a runner or something, your mind is more powerful than your body. And a lot of people don't understand that until you are actively, feeling that. I mean, the first person that ran a marathon ever died after that marathon. There's a reason why people since then, years ago, we've come so far when it comes to mindset. We're now living in an age where we can train our minds to think things beyond ourselves, to believe in ourselves, to do things we think that were never possible. And I think, when it comes to cancer, obviously I was not a person that was on chemotherapy. I was not a person that was on immunotherapy. I went through a lot of physical changes and I went through a lot of mental and emotional changes. But I will say that, I've met people in the cancer community that their mindset is what's getting them through cancer. It's that positive thinking. It's that, just, believing in the impossible, believing in hope. And that I think is kind of that light at the end of the tunnel. And when I was going through that pity party, I was kind of explaining before, I just came to a moment, Kenny, where I was like, you know what? This pity party is getting me absolutely nowhere. I'm just sulking in myself. I'm living in negativity. How can I reframe this, right? Reframing your mindset, reframing those thoughts. And I said, what if I took what happened to me? And even though it was sucky, even though it was unfortunate, how can I turn this into a positive? And what I did was I shared my story on social media. I took a picture, I wrote up a long caption, and I was so scared to post that photo back in 2019, now 6 years ago. And that's kind of what started my journey of being an advocate, sharing my story with melanoma, because I wanted to just take what happened to me and turn it into an educational opportunity and spread education and spread awareness, because there's more people out there that have had melanoma and skin cancer than we can really even think.
Yes. And thank you so much, Leah, for doing that, right? Because it takes courage. It takes courage to look at or face those vulnerabilities and the fear. And so I want to ask that part. How did you take that vulnerable state and going, you know what? One, I thank you. I want to thank you for being a giver. But I want to know, how did you say, you know what? This is a vulnerable position. I don't want to really show people this, but I want to give. What was that got you through that fear to say, I'm going to do it anyway, and then make that transition?
Yeah. Well, I think it was knowing that social media is a place where a lot of good things can happen, a lot of bad things can happen. But I'm of the believer that I like to use social media for a positive. Before my cancer, before I made that, really vulnerable post in 2019, I used social media as sharing, happy things in life and positive things. And it was kind of my little escape. And then I realized, you know what? Our lives don't always have a lot of happy, positive things all the time, right? You know, um, I saw a quote today, it was very powerful. It says, we can't have good without the bad and bad without the good. There's got to be some balance there. And I think that, what I was trying to do was show people. I don't want people to think my life is always on these highs, right? What people say, my life is a highlight reel and it's, the perfect this, the perfect that. That's not life. And so I think it was actually an opportunity for me to not only show others, but show myself that things happen and that's okay. And, I thought about all of the really good things that happened in a really bad situation. My cancer could have been a lot worse. I could have went down a really different trajectory and different path, but I didn't, and I was here and I survived. And I think that in itself was a way to push me forward past that vulnerability and share my story. Because not everybody is able to say that they survived cancer. Not everybody is maybe willing or able to share their story, but I was here and I was able to do that. And if I could be a voice for others, to get them through that dark tunnel and see that light at the end, that's what I wanted to do. I hope that answers your question.
100%. 100%. And thank you for that. Thank you for that, because getting through that is not easy, and that's the reason why I wanted you to highlight it, because sometimes people are trapped in that darkness and don't know how to get past their fears. And so thank you. Thank you for one, for having the strength. Thank you so much for being a light to those who may be going through this or have gone through it, that you helped. And my goodness, after that, did you hear what she said? She said she ran a marathon and ran several others after that. Like, who are you? I
I
love
know.
that. I,
I know. Like I said, people think I'm insane, but you know what I will say, Kenny, is when you've been in running this long and have done what I've done in running, running shapes who you are as a person. And a lot of people don't know that unless they've kind of experienced it. And maybe it's the same for other sports as well, what have you. But there's something about running. It's taught me grit, it's taught me discipline, it's taught me self control, it's taught me hope. And it's always have taught me that you are stronger than you think you are. And I think that is something that a lot of people in the cancer community need to be reminded of very frequently, because cancer brings you down emotionally, mentally, physically, spiritually, financially, all these things. And if we can just take a step back and just remember, you're going to get through this, you're stronger than you think you are. And that is something I will say that running really has taught me. And that's something that honestly keeps me going back. hitting that pavement almost every day. It's a surreal feeling, and saying that I've ran 4 marathons and probably training for another one this sometime this year. I'm extremely grateful because, as a cancer survivor, it makes you want to take advantage of every day after you've survived something like that. And like I said, I haven't let melanoma stop me. I mean, my runs look a little different, having to wear a lot of sunscreen, wearing protective clothing, have to watch, when I'm running, watching the, peak UV rays and shaded areas and all that stuff. And yeah, it was annoying in the beginning. With change always comes a little bit of frustration, but you adapt and you realize, if I can still keep doing what I'm doing that makes me happy, that is something that I enjoy, I can make some changes. I can make this work. As long as running doesn't get taken away from me, I'm good.
Yes. Making changes. That's what it's about. I mean, we're always adapting, right, Leah?
Mm-hmm.
We're always adapting and changing and learning and changing our perspective. So thank you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Here's a question. So you go through this, you get through it. The doctors tell you, "Hey, Leah, this is your situation." Talk to us a little bit about what happened once the doctors cleared you, and then what does your follow up look like?
Yeah. No, great question. So a lot of people think, in an early stage melanoma, you get it cut out and then you kind of move on with life. And that's not how it happens, at least for a lot of people. So after my surgery, not only was I healing and, going through that pity party and all those emotions I was expressing before, I was still waiting for results after my surgery because I had to wait to see if the cancer spread or not to my lymph nodes and organs. So it was the incision and surgery they did under my arm. And so when I went in for my post-op appointment, about 2.5, 3 weeks after my surgery, that's when I got the news that, it didn't spread to my organs. It didn't spread to my lymph nodes, which I was obviously extremely grateful for. I think that was the moment where I was just like, oh, I can breathe. Like, we're good. Like, it's been a really rough couple of weeks, pain wise, emotional wise, mental wise, and just hearing those words, like, you're okay. And it was just like such a big relief. And yeah, I think that was also one of the reasons why I also felt called and okay to post that post on social media. Like, I got this, green light. I'm good. Now I feel comfortable to share. Which is actually interesting, Kenny, because sometimes there's people on social media that, will share even when they don't know what to share. They'll share the uncertainty. And I always give a lot of credit to people like that. We're in the trenches. We don't know what's going on, but we're going to share it anyway. Looking back, I probably, if I could change something, I probably would have shared earlier because I think it's important for us to be more comfortable with the unknown and be more comfortable with the uncertainty, because that's also a huge component to cancer, right? We don't just, we get this diagnosis, we get the treatment, and then it's like, boom, we know this, and then we move on. That's not how it works sometimes. So if I could change that, I would. But then you ask, what did my life look like after that as far as follow up? So for the first 2 years after my surgery, I was told I had to get skin checks every 3 months for the next 2 years. Which, if you're listening and watching and you don't know what a skin check is done by a board certified dermatologist, a skin doctor, and they look at you head to toe to make sure that there aren't any suspicious lesions or moles or anything on your skin that could be potentially, harmful to you, whether it's cancerous or precancerous. And for me, for somebody that has a lot of moles on their body, given my history of my own melanoma, plus my dad's history of melanoma and our family history of skin cancer, they watched me like a hawk for the first 2 years. And we had a couple of scares those first 2 years. I had a lot of biopsies done, meaning moles taken off of me and tested. And again, the waiting game of waiting for results, which all cancer patients absolutely hate. um, and so, yeah, the first 2 years were a little rough because it was a combination, Kenny, of navigating life after cancer and really like having this new identity. I mean, I should show you, Kenny, a picture of what I looked like before melanoma. I was so tan. Like, I looked like a different human being. And having to change my ways and having to change my lifestyle, I was actually like, I felt like I was changing. Like, I was starting to fade, my tan was fading. I was starting to see more of my moles more prominent, and my scar was really bothering me. And, just kind of self image wise, I'm sure not a lot of women or really men or anybody wants to have scars all over their body. And it was just a lot to deal with the first 2 years. And then after the 2 years, up until the last couple of years, I went for skin checks every 4 to 6 months. So what they call graduating to, from 3 months to, 6 months. And, as time went on, I had less and less biopsies, which was really great. Um, and I was very fortunate that last October, I hit my 5 year cancer free mark, which is extremely amazing. And not a lot of people can get there, Thank you. And yeah, and I think, that's also kind of like that moment of what I had after my surgery. It's like that, like that breath, like I can breathe, like that relief kind of thing. And granted, Kenny, once you've had melanoma, you're technically never free from it. There's always a chance it could come back. But there's something, I know it's cliche, but I truly believe that time does heal. As time goes on, you know, whatever that looks like for you as far as healing, within time, we learn how to kind of what we talked about before. We learn to change, we learn to adapt, whether that's our mindset, whether that's, thinking about certain things. And I think with all this time that's gone by, it's given me more confidence to live in the skin that I'm in, do the things that I'm doing around advocating for melanoma and skin cancer and sun safety. It's given me this confidence and hope that I hope to share with other people that are going through going through what they're going through that I was going through back in 2019. Like, I'm able to help them because I understand what they're going through. And kind of what you said before, Kenny, like, I want to help them get through that darkness because you don't want to do that alone. It's very isolating. And with the melanoma community, a lot of people have had melanoma, but not everybody's always talking about it. So a lot of people don't feel like they can talk about it. And so I want to do the opposite. Like, I want to shout it from the rooftops, let people know this is what happened to me. This is, something that, it's awful, it sucks, but you will get through it. And this is how. And yeah.
Man, I tell you what, thank you. One, thank you so much for talking about it, right? And because sometimes people don't want you to know what they're going through, that vulnerable place. It's, how are you going to view me? Maybe you're going to judge me. And it's a lot. There's a lot of different things that can be going through your head. And so for you to say, no, I'm going to talk about it. And if you're going through it, guess what? I'm a resource for you and I can talk to you and direct you, at least from my perspective on what you're going through and what you can expect. So thank you, Leah, for that. Yes. And, I tell you what, you listen, their success. I'm looking at everyone and I'm talking to everyone that's listening, their success, even after the darkness. This young lady not only has ran marathons afterwards, she's getting married. Huh? She's getting married. Hey, let's put that out there. Hey, she's getting married. Hey. Yeah, you found love, and after this, come on. I mean, this is what a success story, and I love that. I love that. I want to make sure we capture that because it's about life, and you said it earlier. You said, Kenny, people don't just want to talk about the highs and look at me, and these are all the great points. Sometimes, not sometimes, we all have these dark moments. We all go through these points in life where, my God, how am I going to get out of that? And when you can be a light and you can be fearless and tell your story, no, thank you so much for that. Yeah.
Of course, yeah. I mean, I will say, Kenny, like, I think another thing that keeps me going is the amount of messages I get on social media over the last couple of years of like, because of you, like, I got a skin check. Because of reading your story, I wear sunscreen now. Because of you, I was able to have the confidence to share my story on social media. And like, stuff like that just like lights me up. And Kenny, sometimes it only takes one person and one story to really help somebody. And, my story may not resonate with everybody, but, I know that I'm making a positive impact and I know that I'm able to shed that light into the world of cancer that's got a lot of darkness in it. And as long as I can keep doing that and encouraging others and educating others and making people aware that our skin is our largest organ and we're only given one body in this life, we have to take care of it. And learn from me, learn from my story. I did not take care of it for many years. And this is what happened to me. And I don't want anybody to go through what I went through, and especially not what my dad has been through over the last couple of years. Because when melanoma is not caught early and it's caught late, can do serious damage. It can spread to other organs. And Kenny, I've met people and have known people that have died, from melanoma. And again, it's skin cancer. And we got to start talking about it more because more and more people are getting it and more people are not really understanding the gravity and the severity around it.
Tell, how did you find it? Because I think that's another thing where, you may have something, but you don't know, or, maybe it's not visible. What was it that you saw that made you say, I need to go get this checked?
That's a great question. So, shout out to the people in our lives that are looking out for us, like our parents or our partners or, our friends. It was my mom. My mom noticed the mole on my chest that did not look right. And I think she was on high alert because a month before my stage one melanoma, my dad was diagnosed with stage zero melanoma, and she caught his mole on his back. So she, I think, was kind of in that space of, you know, what do funky moles look like, which could be concerning. And she encouraged my dad to go in, and it came back stage zero melanoma. She encouraged me to go in, it came back stage one melanoma. We joke that my mom, she's the melanoma navigator. She'll find it on you and she'll catch it. And she's not even a dermatologist, but no, she was the one that pointed out to me. And I'll be honest with you, Kenny, at first, being young in my mid 20s, I was like, oh, mom, it's fine. It's nothing. Like, trying to brush it off, but it never escaped my mind. And all the time I think about what if I never went in for that skin check? I don't even know if I'd be here today. And so, huge shout out to my mom and knowing how powerful and life saving a skin check can be. Because, like I said, things that aren't caught can grow and spread and can be deadly.
Yes. Yes. Shout out to mom. Mom, thank you so much. We got Leah in front of us. Huh? Thank you, mom. Yes. Leah, so talk to us a little bit because you know what? Not only do you give back, but you're also helping. Tell us a little bit about what you're doing, because for those that are going through um, financial situations, right? You're talking about you help in that area. Talk to us a little bit about it.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I do my own kind of like content creation online, advocating for melanoma awareness, skin cancer awareness, and sun safety. But I also volunteer and partner with a lot of melanoma and skin cancer foundations and organizations. It is my give back. They are doing incredible work across the United States. There's probably about 4 or 5 organizations I work with actively, on top of having a full-time job. I love being busy. But yeah, I think it's really important to help these organizations because they need people like me as well as survivors and fighters and caregivers and advocates that are willing to amplify their mission in eradicating skin cancer, raising critical funds for research to try to create better treatments for melanoma and skin cancer, or just in general, raising more awareness about the power of sun safety. One of the organizations that I volunteer with, they are trying to have sunscreen dispensers in parks across the country. If you think about it, you go to bathrooms where there's hand sanitizer everywhere, but how cool would it be to see sunscreen in parks and, playgrounds with kids and, their families or what have you? So, I love working with all of them. They all are similar, but they all kind of have a different niche. And it's been fantastic, getting to work with them. I've had incredible opportunities volunteering with them as far as speaking opportunities, doing social media content with them, as well as going to Washington, D.C. and testifying on Capitol Hill to lawmakers to try to pass laws and bills to better, you know, provide support for melanoma and skin cancer prevention in this country and beyond. And yeah, I always joke that my 9 to 5 is National Kidney Foundation, and my 5 to 9 is all things melanoma. So yeah, that's what I do.
I love that. Shout out to Leah for just being that resource, that person who's going the extra mile. Thank you for that. And those that are going through it are going to be thanking you for that. So we appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yes. So Leah, before we let you go, tell us a little bit about what you're doing now. Like, what does life look like now for Leah?
What does life look like for Leah? Well, it feels, again, incredibly blessed and grateful to cross that 5 year cancer free mark. And what am I doing now? I'm doing, you know, trying to do big things in, the melanoma and skin cancer community. I've got some really cool events coming up that I'm going to be speaking at. I'm going to be going back to Washington, D.C. to go to Capitol Hill and testify to Congress and lawmakers again, for melanoma awareness. I'm planning a wedding this year. I'm working up my, career ladder at the National Kidney Foundation. And for those of you listening that, may be impacted by kidney cancer, we are always a resource, the National Kidney Foundation, for those that are going through that. But it's kind of nice, Kenny. I'm able to channel a lot of what I'm doing in my 9 to 5 at the National Kidney Foundation into the work that I'm doing with the melanoma organizations, because we're all nonprofits, we're all mission driven, and we're all looking for people to invest in the mission and connect with the mission, to make it, something that really people can care about and learn about. Um, like I said, I think I'm going to be running another race this year, and I'll do it again for melanoma charity. I don't know if it's going to be another marathon or if I want to go bigger, go home and try an ultrathon, which would be a baby ultrathon. It would be 31 miles of running. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, those are just some main things I'm working on right now.
I love it. I love it. I mean, I don't think she sleeps. I don't know if you guys are listening to this. I don't know if Leah sleeps, but I tell you what, I infuse some of that energy in me because we need it. I need it. And man, thank you so much for being a part of All Talk Oncology and coming on here and telling your story. And we appreciate you so much. And I just wanted to tell you that.
Thank you so much. And thank you for having me. And, thank you for taking the time to listen to my story today.
Thank you. So for all those listening in today, listen, as I always say, you're not alone in this. We're in this together. This is Kenny Perkins, aka your cancer guy. Until again, I'm out.
So stay connected with us on All Talk Oncology Cancer Podcast. Make sure you subscribe to that, right? Wherever you listen to your podcast, whether that's Apple, Spotify, make sure you subscribe and continue to spread that word, right? Engage in this because your engagement can help someone stay alive. And this is what we're talking about. So again, make sure you subscribe, hit that subscribe button. Again, this is Kenny Perkins, aka your cancer guy. Until again, I'm out.